State. I love the national attention that we're getting. But it's interesting how mainstream media would like to pull on those negative things and how they tie the success of a lot of these 5 stars going to Jackson State and choosing our HBCU schools. But times something happens, and it was a big issue, hiccup. And I hate that for FAMU. But they made that the story. They made that the center story. And as to say to students, that's why you shouldn't choose those types of institutions. But let it be known that's a small drop in the bucket compared to the leadership at FAMU, the alums like you guys, the alums at Albany State University. Because one thing about this black, it does not crack. We only get better from it. And with gentlemen like yourselves telling a different narrative, we can still reach our students that this sometimes fake news tend to try to make their impressions on because they're gullible, what have you. But I'm just excited for the game. I'm loving the fact that you guys are really lifting up. You heard gentleman Van talk about Bethune Cookman. So it's all we're all in this together. So win, lose, or draw, there are no winners in when we play against each other. Only champions, and we're learning. We're not losing. We're just learning. So however the outcome of the game is going to go, which we kind of already know because we got about 18 or 19 coming back on that defense, and we got a lot of guys benching over 400 pounds who can move pretty fast. So I'm excited, and we're gonna play ball between the raindrops, and y'all try not to lose your rappers now. You hear?
Okay. All right.
Kobe, what
So
you got?
this is our starting lineup. So you're gonna have more of this when we come down there on Saturday. And like I say, like Antonio Leroy said, it's gonna be a family atmosphere. You know, I do love my orange and green, so I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing everybody. I mean, we're just excited, and we thank the administration for allowing Albany State allowing us to play you all this year in football.
Hey, Coach, can I come to the tailgate in my orange and green?
Well, actually,
Crazy.
Rosia, I'm coming to your tailgate in the blue and gold, spot number 33.
Okay.
What's your
Okay,
I think
we got you.
I'm coming to it. Grace. Yes.
All right.
Hey, and
Hey, Kobe, what you got?
one of my teammates here at Albany State, he ended up coming to FAMU. He used to train with me, Oteman Sampson. I know
Oh,
you
yes,
guys
sir.
may
Oh yes, legend,
Oh, yes, sir.
legend, legend.
Oteman was my roommate here at Albany State, so I turned down Florida State to come play at Albany State. My brother went to
Okay.
University of Georgia, and he ended up playing years with the Jaguars, and my cousin Deion Branch with the Patriots. And so we got football blood here in Albany,
Oh,
Georgia.
yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
Oteman and I, we were good teammates. We talk all the time, and so he'll probably have on some orange and green and orange and some blue and gold. So y'all don't hold it against him because he's just part of the family.
Okay. All
It'll
right.
be,
All right.
it's okay if it's underneath whatever is orange and green. We won't see it. It's all good. He can
Hey,
wear
how
blue and
y'all
gold close to
gonna
his
steal?
heart, but what we see.
Hey, how y'all gonna steal our saying, Ramley? You know we had family first.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that we stole that, but I beg to differ.
Okay.
You make it work for you, and all the other stuff that came from out of Tallahassee. We make it work for your own school. It's all good. It's all It's all good. It's all good.
And I
Hey,
have Coach Gia. I've coached our head coach up. So I feel that he's prepared and ready. He has the game plan. So
Okay.
we're gonna make it do what it do.
This is I'm curious the history between FAMU and Albany State, and for folks who may not know, for probably if I'm just looking back, almost a 20-year history. There was 14 times that these schools played each other. Why do you think there was such a separation of almost 30 years now, where obviously we would have played each other in the Orange Blossom Classic had that COVID year not happened. But 30 years, and how far is it from Albany to Tallahassee? Like 2 hours, if that.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Why do you think it's taken so long? 30 years. Why?
Well, who knows? But that's the way it is. And sometimes when you're different divisions, you want to take ownership of your division. And it sometimes appears to be a play down when you play someone that's not at the same level. But that has nothing to do with performance, because we can perform at any level. Matter of fact, I wish we could have taken on North Carolina and showed them a thing or two, but that opportunity was not there. But that's what happens. You get into divisional strife, and people don't want to break out of their division, and especially they don't want to lose, because if you lose, then that's really a mark against you.
And your conference.
Yeah. And a lot of the schools and alumni are not ready for that type of a challenge.
Great point. Great point.
Amen.
Kofi, you got anything you want to add in there? I was going to ask one more question before we get out, but do you have anything you want to jump in and add?
Well, yeah, I know that the MEAC has been looking around. I know Albany State has an incredible fan base, and it appears as though you all be able to fit right into that blueprint in the MEAC. And there was even some talk about the SWAC. Is there any chance that Albany State is looking to go to the Division I level in athletics?
I can speak on that. Currently, not at this time. We're trying to improve with what we're doing on the Division II level. And then maybe if we get stable with that, there may be opportunities. But right now, we are comfortable at the Division II level here in the SIAC.
Now,
Gotcha.
let me give you a good analysis about what can happen. What can happen is the destiny of Savannah State. Savannah State was Division II.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go Division I, and they have not yet recovered. So there are some things out there for Division I that are very good, such as enhancement of monetary goals. But you also have to look at your travel. And travel is a big, big factor, especially when you start drawing, certain schools.
Took over the other university recently. Did any of that help grow the university? Or better question, how did it help grow the university? And more importantly, how did it help grow athletics?
I can speak to that while they're getting their stuff together. One of the ways it helps us with facilities. Now, we have some of the best facilities among any HBCU. Now, in terms of gymnasiums, we have 2. In terms of indoor swimming pools, we have 2 50-meter pools. And the facilities here at both universities are excellent, second to none. So that's one way to look at it.
And of course, our enrollment did grow. One of the things when we merged the 2-year institution into our historic Black college, which we remain a historic Black college university, contrary to what a lot of people may say and just pass on fake news. We went from almost 2,700 students to almost 6,500 students. And also, when a lot of the historic Black colleges and universities were founded, we were access schools for colored people who weren't allowed to go to these PWIs. And so our 2-year institution, which was formerly known as Darton College, was an access mission school who helped students who underachieved and who couldn't get into a 4-year school like ASU. So now that we've merged those 2 schools' histories and cultures, we have a associate's track, we have a Move On When Ready track, we have a 4-year degree track, a master's track, a specialist track. So and all of it we offer to the students, not only in the state of Georgia, but we offer in-state waivers. Florida, South Carolina, Alabama. So our border states, we're able to do some unique things. We're offering tuition and education on a very affordable and personal level. So it's really helped our brand, and we're just looking forward to some more beautiful sunrises and more supporters versus fans. And I think all schools can appreciate that.
And also, with the merger, we got additional sports. We took on soccer, which is a women's sport that plays in the Peach Belt Conference. And we're also looking to add additional women's sports. And just like Antonio Leroy said, the enrollment did go up tremendously. So we're at like about 6,500 right now. Probably the largest in the SIAC.
We're the largest HBCU in the state of Georgia, I think. Second or third largest in the nation.
So it was a plus for us, but just like said earlier, we are still the Albany State University, which is an HBCU.
Awesome.
Well said. See all those
Spoken
positives.
Like a true alum.
I know. See that, but see all that attractiveness. That's why when people start talking about, as we like to call it, conference churning, Albany State's name always comes up in the mix. And but we appreciate you, kind of setting the table and letting us know how it really is. And so, I can next time the conversation comes up, I got something I can reference back to and kind of be, oh, not so fast. Maybe one day, but not right now. Is at the end of the day.
Let me leave you with two important historical notes about Albany State athletics. Albany State in 1960 was one of 4 college football programs, and still is, never scored upon and undefeated.
1962.
The entire season.
Undefeated and unscored upon, and we still hold on to that. And the other thing, in basketball, we are the home of the Jones brothers, which were out of McGee, Arkansas, which was the tallest family in the United States. And they're getting a little smaller in terms of numbers, but that's part of our history. Part of our history involves Alex Coachman Davis, the first black to win an Olympic gold medal in the high jump in 1948. So she's another Albany State product. So we got them all over the place. So, when you talk about Albany State athletics, we hold our head high.
Albany State University is the standard in the SIAC.
Yes, they are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, Rattler Nation, that's what we got to deal with. Coming down to Tallahassee on Saturday, there's a lot of pride, and they're going to bring a good football team, a great fan base, a lot of history. Don't let the fact that we haven't played each other for 30 years, don't rest on it. They coming with it this weekend, so we have to be able to match it. We're going to all pray that the weather allows this game to happen and that we don't have any ridiculous weather delays. So it's knock on wood, prayers, rosary beads, whatever it takes.
And we're also going to ask that we redeem ourselves from 1992.
3.
In the rain.
3.
92, 93, whatever it was.
14-6. 14-6. Yeah, we got a lot of.
Maybe return the favor.
Yes. All right. Hey, thank you, Dr. Moore, Dr. Campbell. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for coming on and talking with us, and we hope that Rattler Nation has a better appreciation for Albany State, and then after this game, look, we can all go support Albany State in the SIC. They're going to support us in the SWAC, and it's all good. And, that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. Thank you guys for your time this evening. Safe travels down to Tallahassee. Dr. Campbell, HBCU Go is where you can watch that game because it is going to be broadcast on linear TV. So, you can pull up a nice, comfortable seat your bag of your popcorn, or whatever you choose to drink, and it's all good. Enjoy the game.
I
All
might
right.
even throw in some raw peanuts.
There you go. Look. All right. Hey, let's take a break. Come back, get into some more on the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Q Time is our classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Let's get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
Into these colleges, and we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you've got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs, and Comcast did not accept it, and that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
Right? I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay. And that.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100%.
To 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant. Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique.
Hey, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and Kofi. You can always watch our shows. Look, this show is on in many places, so you make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O&G Strike Zone. You can also watch the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app, MyJBN, MyBCSN. We're also on HBCU League Pass. Miss it entirely. You can download the podcast. The podcast will be available on the BCSN Pod Zone. Hey, we got a lot of housekeeping things here as we, want to make sure to get to a few things. So I'm going to kind of hit a few topics, different things. I want you guys to react on it as quickly as you can. Did you guys see the ratings? The ratings for the Orange Blossom Classic per Showbuzz Daily, 958,000 viewers watched the game on ESPN2. Now, in comparison to the South Dakota State at Iowa matchup on Fox Sports 1, which just was at about 1,009,000 viewers. And also, Illinois State at Wisconsin on Fox 1 drew 498,000 viewers. Encouraging news, I would say, guys, right? For viewership.
That's no surprise, bro. It was a big game. You got Deion Sanders. You got two blue blood programs. Everybody's been talking about this game. And HBCUs have an opportunity to tap into markets that everybody else basically is kind of like split. So I would say right after your big Power 5 schools, your upper or your blue blood HBCU programs, if they're playing in a big game, people are going to tune in and watch.
I'll just add also that it was on a Sunday. There was only 2 games on that Sunday football games. NFL hadn't started yet, so I believe that helped our numbers also along with that.
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, this Saturday's game will be on HBCUGo.tv. Now, the linear networks, I have been hunting for the list. I mean, some of the cities have already been publicized. I've been hunting for the actual list. I haven't seen it. I haven't found it yet, but and I say that because I don't know if the game will necessarily stream on their app. I think it may be streaming on the linear television channels. So it'll be interesting, but I'm sure hopefully in the next 24, 48 hours, more information will come out. Hey, I put up a Twitter poll not long after the Orange Blossom Classic, and I asked Rattler Nation, who would you want to see FAMU play in the 2023 Orange Blossom Classic? And I put non-conference opponents only because I think we've talked about this offline. I don't want to see us play another conference opponent this early in the year, especially not Jackson State. So the choices that I put out there was Tuskegee, South Carolina State, North Carolina A&T, and Tennessee State. Who would you guys vote for? And I'll tell you what the results were.
Well,
I voted for Tennessee. I voted for Tennessee State.
Me too.
Because they're a traditional rival. They've got a good band, and they have more of a tendency to travel. They didn't travel to Tampa, but there were a number of different circumstances that surrounded all of that. And I think it'll be a better draw. That's me. But I do think that the only drawback with that would be, for me, I know where the best place for the Tennessee State game would be, and that, of course, is Atlanta. If Tennessee State can't do it, I'm down with A&T. I think that they would love to get out of North Carolina and come down to Miami and renew that rivalry. That'd be cool.
I feel like playing Tennessee State in Atlanta is the unicorn that we're not going to see again, and I'm ready to move on past that. That's just me, but A&T actually ended up winning this poll slightly with a 39.6% of the votes. Tennessee State came in second, 37.5%. So clearly, those were the two, 1 and 2, very tight race matchups. Now, we don't have a contract going forward with the OBC. I just saw someone say that. Kelvin, are you aware, or Kofi, you're aware of what's the contract status of the OBC going forward?
I don't know about that because they know that they can't have an OBC without FAMU. So that's one. Then the other one is they were doing OBC pre-sale tickets in 2023. At least that was one of the announcements that was over the intercom. So FAMU's going to be in the game. I just don't know who we're going to play. And that, of course, would get solidified with whoever our AD is. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to add there, Kelvin?
I heard some rumblings, some rumors. It appears right now that the intent is, to, of course, for FAMU to be a part of it again. As COVID suggested, we're not sure. I heard some rumblings about who it potentially could be, but I'm not ready to repeat that because none of it is signed on paper, and I've seen things go a lot of different ways. We do have a open spot. We being FAMU on our schedule, I believe, for one out of conference game. So we'll see, to be determined.
So let me ask this: maybe can you say it is a conference or non-conference opponent?
It doesn't matter. I think we're playing
Well, it does matter.
Potentially,
It does matter. I think it matters.
it's potentially a conference opponent. It's potentially a conference opponent.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's all.
I mean,
I
and the
still
reason
think it
why I said
matters.
it doesn't. The reason why I say it doesn't matter is, for me, I believe in a formula when it comes to selecting somebody to play in the game or a classic football game. You have to have teams that have a history of traveling. I think that's a good deal. Among HBCUs, there are about 4 or 5 that you can count on. That's Southern University, Jackson State, FAMU, Tennessee State, Tuskegee will travel, and I will say Alabama State, and Alabama A&M to certain spots. Everybody else is kind of like up to grabs. And I know Grambling has a really good name and good brand, big brand, but they just don't travel like the schools that I named. Then you got to have community engagement, and that's really the thing that sends a classic game over the top. And, so when you get all of those little things together, that's what gives you success as a classic.
Okay, the little quick roundup around the SWAC. Obviously, from the past week, 2 of the bigger outcomes. Obviously, we were one of 2 SWAC matchups, but you had Prairie View winning 40-23 over Texas Southern. Then you had the Alcorn loss, 31-27 to Stephen F. Austin. Any takeaways from, I don't want to go through the whole list of week 1 games, but any thoughts on any of those games that we don't play Prairie View or Alcorn State, so in mentioning those, it is what it is. But I think both of those teams are teams that many people think have a shot at winning the SWAC West. So any thoughts from SWAC week 1, Kelvin?
I have 2. The first one is, I told you, if Andrew Body couldn't pull it out for TSU, I wouldn't pick him no more. So I'm not picking him again. They just don't have enough there. So that was one takeaway. The other one was I was disappointed that some games weren't more competitive. I was glad to see that Alcorn actually was leading their game most of the game. The weather was really weird and so forth. So, but they gave a valiant effort. But outside of them, I thought that the conference was very disappointing out of conference. Grambling, in the SWAC.
Kofi, how about you?
It's the same thing. I'm keeping this moving. I don't want to talk about last week at all. I'm traumatized. Moving on.
All right, so let's look ahead to week 2 then. As bad as week 1 was, Kelvin, in terms of those big games, this week is really is a check week for pretty much most of the SWAC, with the exception of Bethune, us, and let me see, and Jackson State. Everybody else is playing an opponent where the most likelihood of the point spread is going to be 10 points or more. And in most cases, we're talking 30 to 40 points. You've got Valley traveling to Austin P. You've got the two feature games with Albany State traveling to UCLA, Southern going cross town to LSU.
LSU.
Those are 41-point spreads. Alabama A&M traveling south to take on Troy. That's about a 29.5. Alcorn traveling to Tulane. That's 30.5. Texas Southern traveling up to North Texas, 27.5. Your closest games, really, Grambling is at least predicted to be a 7.5-point underdog at Northwestern State. Prairie View anywhere from a 9.5 to 10-point dog at Abilene Christian. What's a game? Put it like this, and we'll get to the pick segment in a second. But any thoughts that come to mind? Any game that you're interested in seeing outside of maybe the Southern Heritage Classic and of course our game? Any game that piques your interest there, Kofi? Since you didn't want to talk about week 1.
Cookman and South Carolina State. That's going to be a good game. I know it appears as though the Hurricanes trounced Bethune, and they did. But I saw enough good plays from Bethune and their skill set and athleticism that should put people on notice that they're going to be very formidable going forward. So sleep on BCU at your leisure. My issue is obviously going to be the issue is going to be Buddy Pugh. Can Terry Sims finally get his team to play at a level that can finally beat South Carolina State? And of late, that hadn't happened. So
I was going to say, what's the history on that? I mean, the history on that, I think South Carolina State's won that the last few times, right?
Yeah. I mean, Buddy Pugh's a notably better coach than.
Yeah, but usually up until the last couple of years, it goes back and forth. And, that series has typically been very competitive series. And, so
Cookman's better this year.
It was interesting. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have a real off-season, preseason last year. I mean, there were so many things they dealt with going into the season, which is why they got off to that bad start. They're not the same team this year. They're gonna get somebody. I just hope it ain't us.
Amen to that. Kelvin, any thoughts and takeaways the week 2 SWAC schedule?
Same thing. First of all, I think it's important that the SWAC, the games that we can win and be competitive, that we pull out some out of conference win. We need Bethune to beat South Carolina State. We need Pine Bluff to win again against North American University. We need Grambling to beat Northwestern. We need FAMU to beat convincingly Alabama State. I'm sorry, Albany State. We need Alabama A&M to beat or be competitive with Austin P. That's your FCS PWC out of conference game. So I mean, yeah, and Abilene Christian. That's what I meant. Peer view over. So those kind of games, we got to win some of them. Period. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. I want to see Southern at home against Texas Southern. What that spread gonna look like
next week.
But FAMU is in a position now where we were last year. We got to win out. We got to win convincingly, and we need our conference to help us, frankly, to win these out of conference games. We need JSU to look like JSU against Tennessee State. So if we're going to have any hopes of postseason, so I'm rooting for the SWAC.
Yeah, at this point, given that the way how bad that loss was, you need the whole conference to come through now. Now we can't just rely on a 1-point loss. No, we need the whole conference to show that it
Can
is
we
a
can we
tough
hold off
conference.
because we ain't talking about no playoffs right now, are we?
No, we just
We talking about
talking about
postseason? Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
that's all we
This team
got.
is supposed to.
That's all we.
That was the expectation when this season started. That was the expectation. Don't get brand new now. You got all these
I ain't
returning players,
brand
all
new.
FCS and all that.
Here's my
So
thought
so so
process.
so so I don't want to hear no excuses. The expectations have not changed.
Well,
Yes.
for me, yeah, the reason why I say that is they're gonna have to convince me that they're gonna be playoff worthy. I think that the talent is there, but I got to see some different ball coming out of off the highs of Seven Hills for me to start doing that. I'll let we'll know
Well,
in the
I
next couple
mean,
of games.
yeah, the work
It
starts
starts
now.
this
This
week.
week,
It
starting
starts this
Saturday.
week. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely starts this week. I mean, the expectation is that FAMU is only a
Playoffs.
3.5 point.
Playoffs.
The expectation is that FAMU is only about a 3.5 point favorite over Albany State. We're talking an FCS Division I against a Division II opponent. Field goal. That's the expectation. Now, like I said, all things considered of who they are and
Whose
what they've done and
expectation is
what
that though?
well, that's
Whose
ratings. That's
expectation is
ratings.
that?
That's the metrics.
Yeah. Well,
That's
yeah.
okay. Well, hey, you those guys are more right than they are wrong. That's all I'm gonna say. So, we got to go prove them wrong and live up to expectations. All right, we'll come up with picks here in a second. I wanted to transition before. Well, let me make mention real quick. There's one piece of recruiting news before I transition over to volleyball. While we still have a few minutes, recruiting. This came out today. 2023 three-star defensive back Justin Bostic from out of I believe Palm Beach Central.
Yeah.
Yeah, Palm Beach Central High School committed to FAMU. His older brother John plays for the Washington Commanders as a linebacker. Justin was in 2021. He was named the Sun Sentinel preseason, named to the Sun Sentinel preseason Super 11. Also selected number 25 overall in the ESPN. ESPN, again, I think it's their local station down that way, top 63. Had 61 tackles, 41 solo, 5 interceptions. He returned 3 of his 5 INTs for touchdowns. And I believe Palm Beach Central went to the 8A regional finals.
Is this for 2023? Is this 2022?
This is actually 2023. He's a senior. This is the second 3-star commit that we've got. These are the first 2 hard commits of the class. Bostic as a DB, and then earlier the first was wide receiver or maybe athlete, how he's categorized, Levante Bo Somerset. He was the first commit of 2023. So far off the bat, 2 3-star commits, and I think it's just a matter of obviously both of those guys, I believe, will be at Bragg this weekend, and so it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time to see what the rest of those guys do. But it's a good start to the class, and I know we got a lot of work to do, but it's a good start. It's a good start. Anything you want to add on the recruiting front there before we shift over for a quick second?
Let's shift.
All right, shifting over to volleyball. We got to mention it because I know it's been a heavy football talk, but we've been behind our Lady Rattler volleyball program all season, and right now they're in a tough stretch. Going 0-4 over the past week, losing last Wednesday to Florida State. Then they lost 3 games at home this past weekend. They lost to Yale 3-1. And then back-to-back 5-set losses where they lost to Austin P State and then James Madison by 3-2. And so, one of the things that I did a little deep diving, guys, to kind of figure out, okay, why are we struggling right now, right? And the only thing I can come up with outside of the roster is a bit new, and maybe they're trying to find the right mix, but it's errors. The errors are killing us right now. Went inside the numbers, and I looked at our average per game in a few areas. And so let's start with our kill percentage. Our kill percentage from last year, we averaged a kill percentage 0.254 with about 13.6%. So far this season, our percentage is at 0.125 with only 10 kills per set. Now, I mentioned errors, attacking errors. Last year, 17.5 attacking errors per game. This year, we're at 23.4. Serve errors. Serve errors last year, 5.25 per game. This year, 6.7. And then the reception errors last year, 1.3 per set. This year, 2.4.
Still
So
early.
I ask you guys, schedule or errors?
Both. And
Some of
better, yeah, both. When you play against good people, they have a tendency to challenge parts of your game, including your mental game, that make it more difficult to execute, and you feel like you have to do more, so you make dumb errors. So that's the part of what comes along with playing good opponents. But then I'll also say it's very early in the season, so when you have the transfers that are coming in the way that we have, um, and I want to say the clearance issues that they've had to deal with, it'll affect you. But the goal is not to be at championship level now. The goal is to be at championship level by the end of this season. So I'm still looking forward. I believe in this team. I'm excited about this team. This early season schedule is to get us ready and prepare us for conference play. So we understand that concept, and I believe it's going to continue to work. And I believe in Coach Gokhan and what he has going, and they just need to hang in there and push through.
ditto.
Last
Is Brian on mute? Brian, are you on mute? Can you hear me,
Last year's
Kelvin?
overall record, 25-7. We're already 0-7 right now. So it's just a little bit of getting used to being on a bit of a losing streak like this. That's all. Let's give some praise to recent SWAC honors, which just came out this afternoon. Nina Sharpton and Brooke Hudson, both newcomers. Nina is the newcomer and setter of the week. Nina recorded a season high 49 assists against James Madison in this past weekend's tournament. During a 3-match span, she also contributed 128 assists, 27 digs, 10 kills, and 3 service aces. And then Brooke Hudson, defensive player of the week. She led the Rattlers with 78 digs in the tournament. She also recorded 24 assists and 5 service aces in a span of 3 matches against Florida State, Yale, and Madison. So, shout out to Nina Sharpton and Brooke Hudson there for doing work. Lady Rattlers traveling out to Elon and Greensboro, North Carolina this weekend for a series of matches on Friday and Saturday. On Friday afternoon, they take on a 5-2 UNC Greensboro at 2:00 Eastern. Friday night, they take on a 1-6 Elon at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday afternoon, they take on North Carolina A&T. They are 3-5. By ratings percentage, according to Massey, Elon is probably the highest of the 3 rated teams. But look, we're 0-7, so this would be a good weekend for us to get a sweep. I think this is the weekend that we put it all together and get 3 wins. At least that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yep.
Yep. All righty. So, let's see. Just looking at a little list here, some stuff that Marcus sent us with the list of duopoly stations in terms of the HBCU Go market. Still looking for that full list of cities. Let's go to the pick segments, guys, as we get ready to wrap up the show. And let's kind of go through some picks for this upcoming week too. Let's start first game out the box. I'm going to start, if you look at my sheet there, I'm going to start the reverse order here. North Carolina A&T travels to North Dakota State.
North
Two
Dakota State
programs.
by 35. Next.
Wow, 35. Kelvin,
35.
what about you?
Yeah, North Dakota State in a blowout.
No chance of keeping it close by the Aggies. None?
Not this year.
No.
Not this year. How about Savannah State at Edward Waters? Two teams. Edward Waters hosting
Savannah
at home.
State
Two
by
tough losses.
21.
Whoa. You've been watching, so you saw Savannah State last week?
Savannah State by 21.
Interesting. Kelvin.
Edward Waters can't catch a break, man. They should be 2-0 versus 0-2. They done lost late twice. Been very competitive in their games. For me, this may be a toss-em game, but I think it's in a cycle right now. So I'm gonna go with Savannah State in a close one.
Wow, two Savannah State. I'll take Edward Waters. I'll let you guys hang out with Savannah State. Tuskegee at Hampton. I believe my guy Drew calls this the Booker T. Washington Classic, or something to that effect. You've got Tuskegee at Hampton. What do you got
Hampton
on this one, Kofi?
Hampton by 24.
I don't know about all that. I'm gonna go Hampton, but I think it's gonna be competitive.
1 second, guys. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Hampton by 14. I don't. That's kind of high. All right, so here we go. Getting closer to the last few. Question: who covers the spread between Southern 41.5? I'm just gonna set it at 41.5, or Alabama State. Southern, of course, traveling to play LSU. Alabama State traveling out west to UCLA.
I don't know.
Who do you got?
Who
covers? Which one of the two covers?
I don't know. That ain't my school. I prefer not to comment. At this point, it really doesn't matter. Southern's going to play very hard. Bama State's going to play hard. I would say Bama State has both of them got new coaches. Southern has a better coach. It ain't even worth it at this point. I would say Southern, with them being in town, it's gonna be bad.
Southern has the best chance, but Brian Kelly coming off a loss, the players getting threats and stuff. They're gonna try to lay one on them.
They're gonna try to put 50
I don't know
on
how
Southern.
good it's gonna be. Yeah,
they're gonna try to put 50 on Southern. I think Bama. I don't know. I'd heard some thoughts that D Davis might be dealing with some injury problems for Alabama State. I don't know how true that is, but if he's healthy, maybe I would shade towards Alabama State. Yeah. No? Neither one?
You're reaching. Yeah.
I'm reaching. All right. Well, that's why I said the question is who covers. So I'm gonna stand on the side with Alabama State.
Next.
That's not an option. Not an option. Jackson State versus Tennessee State, Southern Heritage Classic. Who do you got, Kofi?
All right. So here's what I'm gonna say. I believe Jackson State is the real deal. I believe they're a good team, but I also believe that Tennessee State is a very good team as well. I believe that Jackson State has an incredible analyst squad. You've heard about the 4 analysts and all that other stuff. But I do believe that Tennessee State's going to put up a much bigger fight. And if they do, I know what we need Jackson State to do it really doesn't help us all that much because we lost by so many freaking points. But I'm gonna go with Tennessee State. Now, of course, if I was betting my life, I would go Jackson State, okay? Just for the record. But I'm gonna go Tennessee State because we didn't even show up to really play. And I think that Tennessee State, with this being the last classic, so to speak, or last time they may be playing for a minute, they're going to show up. So knowing Eddie George is not going to not commit to the run, I believe he's going to commit to the run. He understands the importance of the run. Tennessee State's going to do a much better job in that regard. They're going to be more consistent. They just played in a big game. I believe it's going to be good for them. So I'm going to go Tennessee State by 3 in a major upset.
Covering the spread. Kelvin, who you got?
If they do cover, if they do win, to me, it's not a major upset. Tennessee State is a blue blood program. They also have a former NFL star and Heisman Trophy winner as a head coach, and they went against a traditional FCS power that constantly, routinely is not only in the playoffs but has won national championships fairly recently in Eastern Washington. So. And they led a lot of that game, and like they were in it to the end. So they have the recipe, the formula. They have the ability to beat Jackson State. Until I see it happen, I'm gonna go with Jackson State. But I'm picking 3 or 7 point game at this point right now.
Yeah, I think it will be hard for Jackson State to replicate what they just did. But what worries me about Tennessee State is you just gave up 5 touchdowns to a quarterback in Eastern Washington, and now you take on Shedeur Sanders and that offense.
I think they're going to play them a whole lot differently than what we did. We sucked last week. We were not
I
good.
Expect that. No, I expect
we
that.
Played so far off the ball. It was ridiculous. It wasn't even.
I totally expect a heightened sense of awareness from Tennessee State. But I'm gonna take Jackson State in some game, some kind of a 31-28 ball game. Where I'll take Jackson State there. South Carolina State at Bethune-Cookman. I know we talked about it, but I don't think you guys picked a winner. Who you got in this contest, Kofi?
I'm gonna go South Carolina State by 7.
Kelvin.
If I'm betting my life, I'm still gonna go with Buddy Pugh. I think they just have too much returning. It's the same team. They know what to do. They know how to play Cookman. But Cookman could very well obviously win this game. I like what I saw from their QBs. I'm just going to be interested to see when you play South Carolina State, you have to compete for 4 quarters. You got to be disciplined. You can't do stupid stuff. You got to play good on special teams. And I'm just not convinced yet that that's Cookman's identity. I know they're going to play hard, but traditionally a Terry Sims team does something very dumb at some point. And that's not the nature normally, even though Buddy Pugh and them did something dumb in that UCF game. That's not normal for them. And I think that if I'm betting my life, I'm going to go SCSU, South Carolina State, by 7.
Always love betting your life over the mortgage. Go ahead, Kelvin. What do you got?
I'm going with South Carolina State too, and for the same reasons Kofi mentioned. I trust Buddy Pugh as a coach. I think talent-wise, they're probably even, and BCU will probably get an explosive play here and there. But over 4 quarters, I think there'll be some block punt or some miscue that'll cost them the game. So South Carolina State by 7.
I'm gonna go Bethune. I really liked what I saw in their first drive or 2 against Miami. I saw some real speed. I liked what I saw from Jalen. I think the better offense sits on Bethune's side of the field, and so with that, I'll give them something like a 34-31 ball game to Bethune. They are at home, so I'll give it to the home team in a close one. All right, here we are. Final game, FAMU, Albany State. Game is a 6 p.m. kickoff. We hope it goes off. As you heard from Vaughn Wilson earlier, potentially weather issues may pop up. We hope not, but it's in the forecast, maybe. The game will be on HBCU Go. The linear networks you'll have to kind of look out for in your major networks or major markets. I don't know if it'll be streaming online. You'll have to check. You have to check HBCU Go on Facebook, Twitter, or on their website. So we're going to go around, give our score, and most importantly, a bold prediction. So not the score. No, don't make the score the bold prediction. Maybe you could, but I want something else. So give me a score and then give me a bold prediction, something bold that's going to happen. Let's start with you, Kofi.
For what game?
FAMU Albany State.
FAMU's going to win by more than 3. And I'm going to say 3 touchdowns by Moose.
Okay. All right. That's bold.
And
that's bold.
a run. I want to say a run of over 40 yards.
Okay, that might be bold. That might be the bold. That might be the bold play right there. That might be the bold play. All right, Kelvin, what do you got? Score and bold prediction.
I got FAMU by double digits. We'll probably pull away late, and it's going to mimic my prediction for Fort Valley last year after the Classic. I'm anticipating a quarterback change. I'm thinking because of weather and some other things, we may struggle in our first half. And a costly turnover by Musa might require that senior leadership, that stable rock that we have in McKay. And I anticipate that because of the weather and some other things, we will lean on a run more, hopefully. But FAMU by double digits and perhaps a quarterback change.
Wow. All right. My score prediction, I'm going to go FAMU. I'm going to go FAMU 28-20. I'm going to go FAMU 28, Albany State 20. My bold prediction, we will have 2 running backs over 70 yards rushing, and one of them will have 2 rushing touchdowns. So I'm looking at 2 backs going over 70 yards, and one of them will have 2 rushing touchdowns. That's my bold prediction for the game on Saturday. All right. Any final thoughts or words quickly, Kelvin or Kofi, before we close out?
Rattlers, y'all better win this week, buddy. Losing to Albany State is a very bad omen. It's a very bad omen. What that ushered in was the Billy Joe era. Okay. it went from, it did. You know, we started the season very well in 93, and then Keith Brown got hurt in the Jackson State game, and then we played Albany State. We lost to Albany State, and we proceeded to lose pretty much just about for the rest of the year. And as a result, people took an evaluation of the program and felt like this was Coach Riley's ceiling, and we needed a shift. And so they opened up the coaching search. They did not renew his contract. I want to say they reassigned him to another part of the university. He became our AD, and then we ended up with Billy Joe as our head coach. So no excuses. We got to have this game. The end.
Kelvin?
Got to pay attention to what's going on with this AD search, man. a supposedly mystery candidate was added on, uh, and
You trying to make me cuss? I don't want to cuss. I'll put my
the
head
whole
down.
process has not been consistent, and it's such an important hire at an important time. So, uh, we said we was going to get a. At one point, we were supposed to have an announcement about a AD at the Classic. Of course, that didn't happen, and the committee has done his work. Had done his work as far as I knew until this potential new candidate became a part of the process. But we got to watch that. So Rally Nation, do your letter writing, do your calling. Those who are gonna be in town, let's hold some feet to the fire, find out what's going on.
Listen, let me say this as I'm going to piggyback off of this statement. One of the things that happened in the BOT meeting last week is that the Board of Trustees spoke up about the fact that they heard or they received a lot of email chatter. So understand that your emails are working. I would say at this point, we need to not only write the BOT, but we need to copy the BOG. It is so important that we get this hire right. We have to get this hire right. And, for whatever reason, for me, it's like cut and dry. It only makes sense. It's important that this process is fair, that it's right, and that we're able to select the right candidate, or we use common sense to select the right candidate. I've heard this thing where we say, right for FAMU, right for FAMU. Is he right? Look, we need somebody to know what they're doing and all that stuff. People being uncomfortable to work with people that know what they're doing, or people that are direct. We need to cut that foolishness out. Cut the foolishness out. If we're going to be all about equity and all about doing the right thing, there's some times where you have to be able to deal with somebody else's personality and find a way to work through conflict and not take correction personally, especially when it comes to creating a better FAMU, which is what this is all about. Having an AD at A&T, or the right AD at A&T, worked for them. The whole program was uplifted. They didn't get caught up in racial issues and foolishness. They have the right AD. Make no mistake. Okay, we have to get this hire right. We can no longer afford to hire an AD for 2 years and then we blow up the ship. We can't do that anymore. That has to stop. We need somebody that's going to be there, that's going to provide a measure of stability, not only stability, but also growth. And in order to do that, you need know-how. You need to know what you're doing. Not learning on the job. We need experience. Please, please, please write your BOT, write the BOG, say what you have to say, and keep it moving. This process should be over. The end.
Well said. Just want to remind everybody, make sure to stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed and turn on the bell or turn on the notifications, because just like we did this past Sunday, we appreciate the several thousand of you who tuned in to watch our post game. It was only 30 minutes, but apparently, it was good. I mean, y'all appreciated it. So be looking for us to possibly do another one. Of course, it depends. Now, if this game gets a super long delay because of weather or something ridiculous, who knows? But be looking for us to do a post game commentary sometime, maybe about 30 minutes after the game. Give the media time time to get post quotes from the coaches and all that stuff. But be looking out for that. But you got to have your notifications turned on. And make sure you're following us on Facebook, more importantly in Twitter, at ONG Strike Zone. Download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google and Apple Play Store. My JBN, my BCSN is where it is. And download the BCSN Pod Zone on all of your podcast platforms so that you can stay aware of what's going on with the show. So we will travel to Albany State. We will get ready for the first home game of the season. We look forward to seeing you there, Rattler Nation. If you see us, say what's up. Shout out to everybody that we saw and we spoke to down in Miami
Mr. Bowler,
Gardens.
T Matters.
Exactly. Mr. Bowler, appreciate all the love from everybody we saw out there. Appreciate you guys recognizing us and appreciate you guys for being a part of everything we're doing here and jumping in on the chats and all the other stuff. Follow us in all of the places and supporting. There's many ways that you can support what we're doing, so we appreciate it all. Thank you to Dr. Darlene Moore for and her guests, her team, the Albany State team there that came on to talk with us. A great history and tradition, and they're going to bring a great crowd. So we're looking forward to some great banter back and forth with those folks. And then shout out to Vaughn Wilson. Thank him for coming on and talking with us. Make sure to follow him and follow all his work on HBCU Game Day. Please make sure you guys go out and let those people know you appreciate them coming on the show, because it just helps encourage them and others to want to come and watch. So thank you to our producer Mel, for everything she did tonight. That is going to do it for tonight's ONG Strike Zone. For Kelvin, Kofi, I'm Brian. Rattler Nation, we will survive, we will rebound, and more importantly, we will strike, and strike again. Good night, everybody.